Hi guys, welcome to our final volume video. So covering IXL Assignment T14, volume of spheres, shortcut code QX7. All right, for this one, if we have a sphere, this is the one formula that we are dealing with in this unit that doesn't have a height because it is a sphere, it's a completely round ball. Look in the top right corner here and we have a copy of our formula for the volume of a sphere. And that is the volume is equal to 4 times pi times radius cubed, all divided by 3. You'll also sometimes see this formula written as the fraction 4/3 times pi times radius cubed. But the fraction 4/3 is the same as this. That is, you multiply by 4 and divide by 3. I like this version better because it reminds me of that. And I know sometimes when you guys see fractions, it may give you awful memories and your brain just shuts down and you don't want to do the problem. But if you look at it this way and be like, okay, the fraction's not that scary. I just need to multiply by 4 and then divide by 3. It makes it a little bit easier. And I also think it makes it easier to input into your calculator, which you are allowed to use on this. All right, without further ado, let's get going. What is the volume of a sphere? And we are using the approximation for pi, 3 and 14/100ths, and we're rounding our answer to the nearest hundredth. All right, here we have a diagram. So the main thing we have to look for is we don't have to tell the difference with spheres between radius and height because there is no height. What we have to make sure is, are they giving us the radius or are they giving us the diameter? And the diameter is from edge to edge. The radius is from the center of the circle to the edge. So what did they give us here? The radius. We have been given the radius. So we have a radius of 6 feet. All right, let's actually identify that in 6, or not 6 feet, 6 centimeters. Clearly I can't read. My brain's dead. All right. Now that plus pi are the only values we need to substitute. So let's start substituting into our formula. Volume is equal to 4 times pi, which is 3 and 14/100ths, multiplied by our radius cubed. Ooh, did you guys notice that? On our other two equations for a cylinder and for a cone, our radius was squared. This time our radius is cubed. And all of that is divided by 3. All right, we identified our values, we've substituted, now let's solve and find that volume. And to know what we do first, we always refer back to order of operations, so PEMDAS or GIMDAS, however you like to say it. And my first thing that I need to do is that exponent. Cubes are ones that not as many people have them memorized, okay? And remember, with a cube, that means, or with any exponent, our base, which is the 6, is going to be multiplied by itself 3 times. Now, I know 6 times 6 is 36, but off the top of my head, I'm not really sure what 36 times 6 is. You could work it out on paper, or you are allowed to use a calculator. Now, there's 2 different ways you can insert this. You can literally just type, oh, not 3, my bad, 6 times 6 times 6. Or you can use, depending on what calculator you're using, there is an exponent button. And that's right here, this A and this B, because the variables mean you can choose the value. So we're going to type 6 and then press this button and notice that the cursor goes up into exponent mode. And then we can enter our 3. And the reason I really want to show you this is this calculator that I have up is similar, not exact, but it's similar to the one you'll get on the FSA. So you'll have these types of buttons whenever it's available to you on the FSA. All right, but regardless, 6 cubed is 216. So our volume is equal to 4 times pi times 216, all divided by 3. Now, just like in some of our earlier videos, our next step is we got to simplify that numerator. So we're going to just multiply all the way across. Here's the beautiful thing. If you want to be a little bit lazy and take some shortcuts, remember with multiplication, when that's all you have, you can multiply in any order. So here's how I'm going to be a little lazy. I'm going to do it backwards, so that way I don't have to type as much. I'm going to do 216 times 3 1400 times 4. Because it doesn't matter. It's all straight multiplication, so I can multiply in any order. And yikes, that is a big number. So the volume is equal to 2,700, not to that, yeah, 2,712 and 96 hundredths, all divided by 3, which brings us to our final step. And sometimes it's nice and we don't have to do any rounding because we're being asked to round to the nearest hundredth, and our answer was given to us in the nearest hundredth. But if we needed to round, we would have to do so. But in this case, we don't. So the volume of this sphere is 904 and 32 hundredths cubic centimeters. That's not too bad, right? Let's do one more problem. All right, we got another sphere here, and once again, we're being asked to use the volume. Our very first step is to identify the information we are given. And the biggest trick here is, do they give you the diameter or do they identify the radius? Which is it? They have given us the diameter because the diameter goes all the way across from one edge to the next. But what we want is the radius, so from the center to just one edge. Well, if the diameter is 14 and the radius is half of that, what's the radius? 14 divided by 2 is 7. Our radius is 7. All right, hopefully you're already thinking on what the next step is so you can be engaging with me in this and you'll be able to successfully do it on your own, but our next step is to substitute. V is equal to 4 times pi times our radius cubed, all divided by 3. All right, now it's time to simplify. Now we can use that calculator. We want to start with our exponent, so 7 cubed, which means 7 times itself 3 times. 7 times 7 times 7. I know 7 times 7 is 49, and then 49 times 7 would be 343. All right. So our volume is 4 times pi, that's not a very good parenthesis, times 343, all divided by 3. So next, let's keep simplifying. We're technically still in that, we're kind of going back to that grouping symbol phase because our fraction bars are grouping symbols. So we got to simplify that numerator. We got to do that multiplication straight across. And once again, you can do it in any order. So if you want to take a little shortcut and do a little less typing, you can take that answer and just enter in your values backwards. So times pi times 4. And your numbers are going to grow pretty quickly because we're cubing things, we're multiplying by 4. So your answers for the volume of a sphere will be a lot larger, that's for sure. 4,308 and 8 hundredths, all divided by 3. So one more step. Divide by 3, and ooh, good. This is one that we have to round. I'm really glad, so we can view rounding and refresh that. Because I did go over rounding in a couple problems in my video on the volume of a cone. But if you did not need to watch that helper video, I'm glad that you get to see this here. All right, our directions tell us that we want to round to the nearest hundredth, which is 2 decimal places. When you're naming for decimal places, it goes tenths, hundredths, thousandths, etc. So if we want to round to the nearest hundredth, so the second place, that means we want 2 decimal places in our answer. So we're going to need to look at the third decimal place, because that third decimal place will tell us whether we round up or round down. We have 1,436, and even though I need to round to 2 decimal places, I'm going to write 3 down, because this bad boy right here, this 6, tells us whether we round up or down. In rounding, if it's 5 or above, you round up. If it's 4 or below, you round down. Well, 6 is greater than 5, which means we're going to round up. So this 2 is going to round up to a 3. That makes our final answer 1,436 and 3 hundredths is the volume of this sphere. All right, as always, guys, if you have any questions, please make sure to send me an email and specify, hey, I have a question on this assignment. Or, of course, come to my help session and I will be more than happy to work with you on it. And then you can see an example and go back and forth real time. All right, bye, guys.